Two bald guys and a microphone. 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 Hello, we're back, and some people been wondering where we've been. It don't matter, cause right now it's happening. Same station, new day and time slot. Content forever is flowing, we won't stop. Providing remedies for chemical brain freeze. And teaching reboot, stressing you believe. We're two bald guys and a microphone. We're glad to be back, it feels good to be home.
Be home. Good morning.
Welcome in to Two Bald Guys and a Microphone. Of course, Two Bald Guys and a Microphone every Wednesday morning, hump day right here, getting you through the rest of the week. Brought to you through the financial support of our good friends at, look at that, JH Events and Flowers. Give them a call, 815-331-8616 or jheventsandflowers.com. $5 Friday. Listen, if you have good things going on these hot days, they have some cool deals over there. How about that?
Mention Tom's Productions and
of course, our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190. Been with us since the beginning. If you are stressed, they'll help you be blessed. They'll relieve that stress with some acupuncture, massage therapy, reflexology, deep tissue massage, hot stones, an entire staff of licensed massage therapists. Amazing. Listen, if you have never, you have to. That's all I got to say.
I just had a conversation with John yesterday and set up my appointment for next week. I'm getting in to get my stress blessed.
There you go. Yeah, I've got to get over there as well. It's time. All right. So listen, this is the first, I don't know, it could be a 2 or 3-parter where we are talking about milestones, and milestones happen by accident. Right?
Milestones happen by accident.
And what we're talking about is not the stones alongside the road that say, hey, mile marker 385. Right. What we're talking about is goal setting. And when you set goals, you've heard the adage, hey, you know what? You have this big, hairy, audacious goal, and then you need to set a few smaller goals or milestones to help achieve that. And I'm saying that's a fallacy.
And why are you saying
that? Because the milestones just happen by accident. They just happen when you're working, grinding, doing that good stuff. The milestones actually happen by accident. So let's create a foundation for this conversation if we can.
Let's get started.
So prevailing wisdom will claim that the best way to achieve what you want in life, getting in better shape, losing weight, you name it, building a successful business, relaxing more, worrying less, is to set specific, actionable goals, or as we would say, smart goals. Smart
specific,
goals, right?
Measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Yeah. And so what we're doing here is we are absolutely talking about the reboot system on rebooting your mentality on goal setting and milestones.
And let's just run through it real quick. The R in reboot is about recognizing the need to make some changes. The scale, the needle is bouncing off the top.
Yeah.
You've gone up 3 sizes in clothes the last couple of years. Whatever it is, you recognize there's a need to make a change in your life. Physical, mental, social, relational, some change needs to happen. The E in reboot is
educate. In other words, dive in a little bit. Maybe open up the instruction manual, right? Take a look at what it is that you recognize need to be changed. And instead of just quote unquote pivoting or turning on a dime, maybe do a little bit of work on trying to find out and educate yourself on it. The B in reboot.
The B is about believing, and we have an entire section of the Two Ball Guys show dedicated to the importance of believing. Demand will be on a little later. But you've got to believe that the changes you've identified, the education you've done, you've got to believe it's going to work. If you're doing it but you don't believe it, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
The first O is about
the operating system. Your old melon contains an organ that is pretty impressive, and you have a set of limiting beliefs. You have been programmed. You've been running perhaps on the same coding for several years, maybe all your life, and some of that coding is just is like malware. It's just been slipped in there. You don't even know, right?
every day.
And the second O
is about orchestrate. Orchestrate your life. I've done a lot with the military and in civilian life on leadership, but the thing I really miss is how to lead yourself. Right? We learn how to lead others, but in orchestrating your life, you have to really you have to face the mirror and figure out who you are, because none of this is going to work if you don't take control of your life. And that's where orchestrating comes in. And the T in reboot is about
test. So you gotta try and fail. I won't even say fail. Try and take 2 steps back, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, right? Roll around in the dirt, whatever, but test. And the only way to do it is action. And the only way to test anything is through actions. Take massive
You got to
action.
try something.
Yeah.
I had a young lady, a 7th grade girl basketball player, was probably the best ball handler I ever had at that age, but she wouldn't use those skills in a game. She would just do, the standard stuff. Her name was Hannah. And I finally said, Hannah, you've got such great touch. Oh, she goes, if I lose the ball, they'll call me a hot dog. I said, Hannah, I want you to go out and I want you to do your between the legs spin move, but I want you to let the ball go to the opponent. She goes, why would I do that? I said, I want you to see that your teammates really don't care, that you're going to be just fine. Well, she did it and nobody complained about it. And from that point on, she opened up, and she was just a joy to watch and to coach when she used the skills that she had for the good of the team.
Yep. So what we want to do is we want to just put that basis. Take a look at your goal setting. Take a look at some of the quote unquote goals that you've set for yourself, whether it's New Year's resolutions, whatever. And we've done several shows throughout the 6 years, 7 years that we've had this show. And so we're not going to go into that ad nauseum. But what I want to say is that it doesn't work. Because if it worked, you wouldn't be setting the same goal. You wouldn't be setting those things, right? So we've all tried the big, hairy, audacious goal. We've all tried well, let's set the few smaller goals and get there, right? And we have fallen far short of a lot of our goals. Here's the God's honest truth, Coach, is that both winners and losers have the same goal. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So if we're playing in a soccer match, my goal is to score more than you. Your goal is to score more. That's the same goal. Now, it works for one person or one team, and it doesn't work for one person or the other team, right? So what you have to understand is when you're setting goals, winners and losers have the same goals, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, have you ever stopped to think about that and go, because hey, you can do this, buddy. Go get it as a coach, as a business coach, as what we do here at Two Ball Guys and a Microphone. It never dawned. We just look at you can do it, win. You can do it, win. But guess what? All those goals that you've set and people have set and they lost are the same goals that maybe they set now.
Well, and we've talked about this also a lot, but you can learn more from a loss or more from not winning, however you want to put it, than you can from the victory. You never coach to lose, but in the loss, you learn the lessons that are going to help you win tomorrow. So you always set those goals, and when you come up short of the goal, you have to sit back and analyze it and look at it. Why didn't I achieve the goal? You know, in the athletic field, well, maybe I just didn't have as good of athletes as the other team. Maybe I didn't have the right strategy. You know, I didn't know, I didn't take the time to research the opponent. I didn't know their strengths and weaknesses, and I played right into their strength. Whatever it is, you have to sit back and you have to go, okay, what happened? What can I do to be stronger next time? And then you do the things you need to do. You recognize, right?
Yeah.
And then you step right back up to the plate, and you move forward.
Yeah.
The Wilmot had their first football game on Friday night, and they got beat handily, 35-0. When it was 7-0, we were on the 8-yard line. It was 4th and 4 on the 8-yard line, and our kicker has made 60-yard field goals in practice. So we had a chance to leave the field 7-3 early in the game and be competitive. But they chose to try to get the 4 yards and push it in. It didn't work. And now all the coaches in the stands are, you know, especially the parents and grandparents of the young man who's the kicker, which may be my wife and I, are second guessing everything the coach has done. And at the end of the day, it's his game, it's his program, and we need to step back and allow them to do that. Well, the coach and I had a conversation afterwards. We were head coaches for the same school for a long time, and it was a good conversation. And he knows what needs to happen to get to the next step. So in life, in business, you gotta, when you don't achieve that goal, call it not winning, call it losing, put whatever name you want on it, you've got to look back. If you never look back and say, what could I have done better, then you're not going to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So the other thing, hey, Shayna, how are you?
Good morning, Shayna.
How are you, my dear? She says, prioritizing the order of goals makes a difference. What's the priority given in the military? Country, God.
As a athletic coach and a military leader, you know, there's two different outcomes when you talk about winning and losing. In the military, the potential outcome is loss of life, loss of ground, loss of life-changing events. On the athletic field, it may, it's a trophy, it's a win-losing record. And people are all the time, there's no similarity. There's a lot of similarity. One of my former athletes, John, had gone into special forces, and it's funny that they're over there. They're on FaceTime. They have the ability, and I'm doing a Facebook message, video chat with John while he's in the battlefield, not on the battlefield, but in the battle area. And he said, Coach, it was just like soccer, just like you said. I go, excuse me? He goes, the teamwork, the communication, and everything that you said we need to do on the soccer field that you say applies to war, I never got it until I was in my first firefight. But the potential outcome of not doing your job right, of not being fully prepared, of not analyzing your losses is totally different. So, and that can be a game changer.
Shayna says my knowledge of the military comes from Hollywood. So
it's just like that, Shayna. Believe everything you see.
Now, and Shayna, I'm gonna kind of rewind and step around this a little bit because I think you're headed into a good direction. But I want to lay a little bit of a foundation on this conversation. And I don't think it's, and that's why I'm saying is milestones happen by accident. So prioritizing the order of goals makes a difference. And I'm going to say that not necessarily. And it will unpack that a little bit, but I don't want to jump into that right now because what I want to do is try to help people understand that we hear all the time, a goal achieved no longer motivates.
Yeah.
Right? A goal achieved no longer motivates. But when we're in our brains, in our everyday life, we're saying that, hey, when this goal happens, when I achieve this goal, life changes. Okay, everything is grand. Well, the truth is that achieving a goal is only a momentary change, but that's not how we've been taught to set goals, right? It's just, and if you take a look at it, it's just a momentary gain. That's it, right? Or change, because life keeps moving, right? Your goal, the only time it isn't is if your goal is like, man, when I meet Jesus, I want to come sliding in on my knees, squealing the tires and exhausted,
I can only imagine.
So that would be the only time that it's not just a momentary change.
Right, but going back to the topic of the show, it's important to understand what the goals are, but we're talking about milestones, and they happen by accident.
Right.
It's when you've established the goal and you've done a good job in making it a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, and all of that. Then you look out, and that goal is way out there. Running the marathon, 26 miles, 385 yards. Yeah. When you're at the starting line, if you focus on 26 miles, oh my, what the heck am I doing here? Right. But if you just focus on that next mile, looking for that, let's get to that first mile and get warmed up and see what we have. And then the next mile, and then, 10 miles, when I get to 10 miles, and you break it down into smaller chunks, milestones, then you'll achieve the 26 miles a lot easier. I was riding last night with a friend of mine, Dallas Bassett, who hasn't ridden in a long time. And I said, Dallas, we're just going to focus on the next point. We're not going to worry about how far we're going today. I'm not going to worry about it. Right? Let's just focus on the next, I didn't use the word milestone, but, this road is coming up. This hill is coming up. When we get to this point, we need to shift like this. And before you know it, we had a 15, almost 20-mile ride accomplished. Goals work the same way. But the ultimate goal, the 26 miles, the milestones along the way, they just happen, right? As you said, they happen by accident, yeah. Right? I'm going to complete this. So each of those happen, but it's not the goal. I don't cross the first mile and go, yes, I did it.
But I would argue with you, yes, they were the goal, because you said, let's go get those. Let's focus on this. So that's a new goal.
But you don't stop at the end of it. You keep moving.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is a goal is just a momentary change.
The 26.2 miles, when you cross that one, you're done. You get to you grab your banana, you do whatever.
Are you? Because people who do that, they do it a lot. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just a momentary change.
I did it once. I didn't do it a lot.
I never do
it. It was a one-time goal. I hit it and swore that I would never do that again.
So that's what I'm saying is, if you focus on the milestone, that then becomes your goal, and little things happen, other things happen along the way that just happen by accident. The other thing with goals that people don't teach, people don't say, is goals, they limit your happiness. They restrict your happiness, right? Because you create an either or. You create an either or scenario. Either you achieve your goal and you are successful, or you fail and you are disappointed. Your mentality box is shrunk, right? And you get a real narrow vision at that point. And then guess what happens? Well, I it's not going good. It's not going good. So I'm going to have a cheat day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good morning, Phil. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, Phil. Good morning.
It goes back, Sean Acorn, The Happiness Advantage at TED Talk. If you haven't listened to it, it's a 12-minute TED Talk. It's well worth it. But he talks about success as a moving target. We feel that happiness lies on the other side of success, and call success your goal that you're trying to achieve. And if I feel my happiness is tied to the achievement of that goal, so happiness lays on the other side of that goal. If I don't achieve that goal, then I never get to that happy point in my life, which goes along the way you're saying. We talked a few weeks ago about your weight goal. 52 pounds in your 52nd year, and
53,
whatever.
Yeah.
But you didn't hit that number.
No.
But the number you did hit was significant.
Yeah, I'm down 30. So
and if you had not gone on the journey to the 53, you never would have hit the 30.
Yeah. So that's the whole idea of milestones accidentally happen, or happen by accident, right? Are they only recognizable in retrospect? Yes, because when you take a look back, right now here's nobody has ever achieved a goal by falling in love with the goal. Okay, and listen to what I'm going to say. They have achieved goals because they've fallen in love with the process or the system.
You just explained the game of soccer,
right? So the idea is, yes, if I can fall in love with the system, if I can fall in love with the process, okay. So the weight loss journey for my wife and I is one that we now have. We've fallen in love with the system. Every 2.5 hours, you fuel with some protein or something healthy, right? And then you eat one big meal. Now, I have dietitians. I have people who say that's not healthy for you. Well, neither is eating 5 big meals of fast food, but you're okay with people doing that, right? However, I just went and had my physical yesterday. We'll see what the blood work is, but the doctor is like, man, your blood pressure is incredible, almost too low, right? And that's because I'm healthy. I have fallen. I get the right nutrients. You have to understand nutrients, what your body needs, those things. Again, the E in reboot, educate. Had to educate myself. Where am I going to get these nutrients from? And what nutrients do I need? Right. And so you need anybody will tell you need a good blend of protein, fats, carbohydrates, all that stuff. But the problem is a lot of us don't live under that. It's just a lot of grease and fast food and yuck, deep fried stuff, right? And processed food. So we have a system that my wife and I do every day, and it works for us, right? And it's now to the point where I'm down 30 pounds, and then it holds for a week or two, and then I might lose another pound or whatever, right? So I'm at 220 pounds. My goal is to be at 210. Now, I'm not doing a surgery. I'm not doing, you know what I mean? I'm not stomach stapling or liposuctioning, anything like that.
You're not taking any shortcuts.
Right. And so now I take a look and say, okay, if I want to lose faster, I'll go get a colonoscopy, right?
colon,
right.
colonoscopy.
Nobody falls in love with following a super restrictive diet. Everyone falls in love with the goal of health. Again, I will challenge that and say, no, everybody knows health. They want to be healthy, but nobody knows, right? You have to fall in love with the process of getting healthy, right? And that's where, I want to drop 53 pounds and I want to do this. So I put it out there and I said, here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I'm going to do. And the first time it goes 2 days without doing it, it was lost. Now, I still had a goal of that 53 pounds, right? But then about 3/4 of the way through the year, or maybe 2/3 of the way through the year, I go, oh man, I've got to do something. I created a different system. We went into a different system. And that system has allowed us to do that, you know. So it's not necessarily you can't fall in love with the goal of health. You can fall in love with the idea, but it's the habits that you create.
We every year on Veterans Day, so many restaurants do so many wonderful things for veterans. One of the places we love to visit is the Golden Corral. Right, Golden Corral has a lot of great options, and they're healthy options. Last year, when I walked into Golden Corral for a choice, and I started looking around at the people who are eating at Golden Corral, I was like, I don't care if it's free or not. I'm not. I'm just not going back there.
Yeah,
it's depressing at best, because we have created a mentality in this country, and bring it back. Okay, I just had a quadruple bypass. Yes, bring it back to my my own personal health journey. It's more than that. When we take a look around this country and look at the lack of healthy choices people have made, becoming a healthier person makes you the outlier. We talked about this, I think, just last week. Following the speed limit makes you a bad person, because society around us has said, if you're not going 5 over, you're holding me up.
Yep.
And in the world of these goals, are we aligning our goal with a personal purpose, or are we driven by what society accepts? You know, whether it's a personal weight loss goal, whether it's a financial goal, I want to have a camper. Look at the camper you got.
Right. Hey, Gary, good morning all the way from Singapore. Glad to have you with us. I hope you had a great Wednesday.
How'd the stock market do today?
Yeah,
Gary?
Never does good. Right. So that's what I'm saying is, as I'm not saying you don't need to set goals, right? Because it's the carrot, right?
Right.
Or the stick. And a lot of us don't like the stick, right? The stick gets to that point where the doctor goes, hey, we're going to put a zipper in you. And you're like, what?
What are you talking
about? Right. That's the stick. And people don't normally like the stick, right? So stocks are still there. He says. So the carrot is always, what's going to get me to move forward? What is that thing that I want? Now, what we have lacked to realize is that goals are at odds with our long-term success, right? And long-term progress, because sometimes we get stuck on that proverbial treadmill, trying to get a goal, 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 right? So I at the end of the year, I'm down 30 pounds. My goal was 53. Okay. So that's a win. My body's happy. My joints are happy. I'm much healthier than I was, because I'm down 30 pounds. Now, understand this, that if I were to just be happy with that and change my goal of, I need to lose 10 pounds, right? So I'm down to 220. I started at 253, so it's actually about 33 pounds I'm down, right?
All right.
So if I changed and said I need to lose 10 pounds, guess what? My whole mentality, the milestones are different, right? So I can take a look back at the milestones over the last over this journey and say, you know what? Wow, my clothes fit better. Oh, my joints don't ache as much. Oh, my back doesn't hurt quite the same. Oh, I'm getting better sleep. Oh, my attitude towards my families. These are all little milestones that happen just by accident. I didn't set out saying, boy, I really wish I could be more attentive. I wish I could have better sleep. I wish that I could do more with my family. I wish I could be a better person. Well, when when you know certain things happen, these milestones just occur, right? If I set out to be, man, I want to be a better dad to my kids, then how does that, what does that even mean, right? So I take a look at this journey and I go, whoa, look what this has done. Look at the quality of life and the better, right? Shana says the search dogs in 9/11 fell into a depressive state when unable to meet the goal given. We need to see success to stay happy. Milestones sound like secondary gains. It's really what they are, right? Because in the goal setting, you would, okay, let's go to this. Let's just focus on this next mile. That's a win. That's a momentary, right? Or secondary gain.
Right. Oh, take a breath, move on. I wrote a blog one time on running in hills, and every hill presents a challenge as you work to get to the top of the hill. When you get to the top of the hill, take a breath, take a second and enjoy your accomplishment, but you got to get to the next hill.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, and goals are the same way. If you hit a goal, that's it. Now, if retirement was your goal, then, maybe you can slow down at that point, but
so, your mind can do a lot of things that perhaps you never thought.
Well, but it goes back, if we get into the reboot, we talked about recognize, we talked about educate, and we're getting ready to move into the believe section here. You've got to believe it. If you set a goal to lose 53 pounds, but you don't believe you can do it, you're not going to do the things. And when you gain 2 pounds back, you go, I knew it wasn't going to work. You've got to believe that what you're doing is the right thing. And no matter what it is, you mentioned something as you were talking about you and Alice. You said, this works for us.
Right.
What works for you isn't necessarily going to work for the next person or the next person. You've got to find out what works for you. And you said it before, and reiterate, the only way to find out is to do something.
Yeah.
You've got to do something.
Got to take action.
You got to change your diet. Yeah. You got to change your exercise. You got to move on.
So with brain training, I read this study over the last week that some scientists at Yale wanted to see how long lab mice could tread water. Okay, so they fill up these vials and they put these lab mice in, and these lab mice start treading water, and at about the 15-minute mark, they were just done. They couldn't hold on to the sides, anything like that, because the vial was taller than the water. And so the scientists were like, well, it's inhumane to watch these things die. So they pour it out, and they pour the mouse into their hand, and they catch it, and they dry the mouse off. They bring it back to life. And then one of the lab guys goes, let's see how long they last now that they're tired. Okay. So they put the mice right back in the water after they had dried them off, right? Catched them, dried them off. So they're exhausted. There's 15 minutes. Do you know how long those mice tread water for?
I do not, but I'm expecting.
Take a guess.
15 minutes.
No, 60 hours. So what it was what they had come to, and this wasn't even part, but what they had realized was that it's 60 hours. So at 15 minutes dead, and then 60 hours. And what happened was every time those mice felt like giving up, they didn't, because they thought somebody was going to come and rescue them.
Interesting.
Right. So when you take a look at that with your goals, here's what happens. When we give up, we want somebody to rescue us, and it doesn't happen. So now I go into a cheat day, or now I give up on the goal, right? So I can New Year's resolutions, they last so long because no one's there to rescue us. But if we knew someone was going to be there, or if we had to depend on ourselves, we'd fall in love with the system we'd fall in love with the process to make it happen.
I think if I was a lab technician, I'd be like,
and so our brains, our minds work very much the same way. So you have to be able to say, yeah, hope.
That's
exactly
one word, but it's brilliant,
right,
Shanna, because when we lose hope, nothing works. And that does tie into believe and hope go together. They go hand in hand,
right,
because it's that hope that leads us to believe.
But that's also why when we look at goals, we yo-yo all the time. A goal achieved, gone. Achieved, gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Take a look at diets, fad diets, these things. Instead of educating ourselves and learning about nutrition and what your body needs nutrient-wise,
right.
We fall in love with a super fad, and then we go, yeah, I'm on the blumpity blump diet. I'm eating all meat. Great. Now you have gout. Whatever. And so when that happens, we go, it worked. I lost a lot of weight. Now I like those donuts again.
Well, and when the goal, weight loss specific, but it can be applied to any other goal. When the goal is to lose weight because my daughter's getting married, because we're going on a cruise, and that event comes, it's like, man, now I don't have to do that anymore. And that's you go right back up to the previous. So if you don't fall in love with the process, you're just going to wind up back where you were before the goal was set, whatever it is. And on the other side of that, in corporate America, somebody else setting the goal for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is your goal. This is your goal. If you hit this goal, I'll promote you. If you don't hit this goal, I'll fire you.
Or in that same breath, is it works so well we quit doing it.
Right.
How many times do we see that in business? Hey, man, I sat down and for 3 weeks I made 50 calls a day, and then all of a sudden my sales went through the roof.
Right.
And now what are you doing?
I'm spending the money I made from the
sales. And so when it to that, it's that yo-yo effect. What works, we don't fall in love with the process. Instead, we fell in love with the goal or the result or whatever, and that is where everything then crumbles, right? And that's where it's not lasting. That's why I say, goals are at odds with long-term success, because as soon as we hit it, it feels good. Now, along the way, the idea of milestones happening accidentally, that look back is to go, man, I've lost 30 pounds. Man, I've got this. Man, I've got that. Right? Or man, I hit that goal. I bonused the best I have ever done. Look at what happened. And then sit there and go, celebrate those milestones, but then go, okay, what's next?
Right.
How do I keep moving on? Right.
Well, and milestones by accident really kind of leads us right into the next segment. I did not plan that.
Right. Absolutely. I did not plan that. Right. Make life work when plans don't.
And it kind of maybe a little similar, a little different. The plan is to achieve this goal. And along the way, things are going to happen that you didn't realize. And I'm going to tie in a little of the brain training here at the same time. We went to a magnet school in Chicago, and did training for all the students in the school. The training, what they were looking for was, is it going to improve their grades? Is it going to improve? So the milestones they were looking at, or the metrics, was GPA, ACT scores, and overall academic performance. The GPA averaged a 1 grade point GPA from a C to a B, from a B to an A across the board, all the students. The ACT scores improved by a full 3 points over their previous tests on all the students that were at that age level for the ACT. What they didn't plan for and weren't looking for, but looking back in retrospect, as Shana said, disciplinary actions went down by over 60%. They didn't plan that. They weren't looking at that. But in looking back at it, when our brain is functioning at its highest level, we don't do stupid stuff.
No.
And if we don't do stupid stuff, we're not being disciplined. Either that, or we made them smarter and they didn't get caught.
Yeah.
one or the other. But a lot of things along the way, when you establish a particular goal that you're working for, there's going to be little side benefits that you don't even realize until you get to that point and look back.
Yeah. And that's the brilliance of it, right? I mean that's the brilliance of it. I can on this journey that I'm taking, and I don't even know what to call it, but on this journey that I'm taking is, like I said earlier, man, I'm actually a better person. I'm more attentive. My brain is sharper, all because, I was a big slug, right? So yeah, Shana says when goals are, what is say when the goal is to be accepted, we deny our true expression. The very fact there is a saying, shredding for the wedding is a self-shame of sorts. Well, you have to become uncomfortable, otherwise there will never be any change, right? If the road doesn't get potholes, it never gets fixed.
It's truth to that,
right? So self-shame of sorts is, let's be honest, if I can, everybody has it. It's again, it is one of those malwares that's put into your operating system, right?
Time for a rootkit removal.
Right.
Let's go up to Jessica Rose.
Yeah. So Jessica says, can't stay consistent with the what if your why isn't grounded in a core value. Focus on your why. Check your motives so you can persevere through those instant gratification cravings. Good show, guys.
Thank you. Why the discomfort?
So with this, and again, I love Simon Sinek. Simon, thanks for tuning in. I'm not a big why guy. We've had shows about that. A why is a question. It's not a reason. If you could change the why to your reason, then perhaps that's something, right? Because why did I have kids?
But why isn't
because
about the
I like
question.
the process.
Why is about the answer to the question. It's a simple question. Everything. The why leads you to the reason. And I understand a little bit about what you're saying, but without the why do we do this show? Is there a why here? Does it matter? Let's just show up. We have no purpose here. We're not trying to affect people's lives. There's no why.
Correct.
But if we know the why do we do this? Well, we want to do a little part. If you look at the graphic that goes with our intro, every second is an opportunity to change the world. Why? Why is every second an opportunity to change the world?
I don't know why.
And going back to what Noah St. John talks about, the question will always lead us to the answer. Now, maybe why is not the right question, but it's a simple question. Maybe it's not, but any question puts our brain to work, finding something. And Simon Sinek, yes, again, Simon, thank you for watching. He does a great job, I think, explaining the why. Well, when it comes right down to it, who are you and what are you trying to achieve? There's more questions than just the why. I think the why's got to be in there, but it's not the only thing.
I don't know why.
Why? Why don't you know why?
I don't know. Right? Is there a purpose or a reason? More than likely, there's a purpose why I was put on this earth. It's not a why, right?
Why not?
I don't know why. And that's what most people say is, oh, what's your why? What? Oh, my why is I have kids. What's that mean? Why? Why is a never-ending question, right? So that's why I say you can't. Here, the discomfort. Why? Why the discomfort? You understand what I'm saying? So you have a purpose, you have a reason. We could argue about this all day. We have done shows in the past. That's not where we're going. But growth hurts. That's why the discomfort. When you went through your growth spurts as a kid, your knees hurt, your bones hurt. When the chicken has to poke its way out of the egg, it still kind of has a soft beak. That hurts, right? You know, an elephant gives birth standing up, and the thing drops the 8-10 feet. Boom. Don't tell me that doesn't hurt. That hurts that elephant, right? And then there's growth. So in order to have growth, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to feel discomfort, not be uncomfortable. Okay. Growth can't occur in your comfort zone. False. It absolutely can, and it does all the time. Okay. It may not be the growth that you are desiring, but it does. That's why it's called the comfort zone. Some people grow wide, some people grow old, but there is always growth inside the comfort zone. So that bumper sticker is a myth. True, we all have it in some form. It must be a why. The pain of change needs to be greater than the pain to remain the same.
We have to put out an entire show on cliche phrases.
Right. No. No. You gotta be sick and tired. That's what has to happen.
Being sick and tired.
Right. And when you understand that, and when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then that's when you decide to jump into some sort of system. Why do you do what you do? I work to provide for my kids. Okay, so let's move into coaches. Coaches' kids are grown and out of the house, right? That why, again, it is short term. Okay, great. When they're done and gone, now what? Now why are you going to do what you do? You know what I'm saying? So that's why goals, that's why milestones, and we take a look at kids' lives, there's milestones all the time that happen, right? And we mark and measure those milestones. But it doesn't necessarily, that lesson learned doesn't happen because you set the goal for it, right? I almost never have an answer to why and think maybe we should. No, why?
Well, our brain tries to answer every question. It's just the way the neocortex works.
Why didn't the son go to college?
Tell us.
Because it already had 1 million degrees. Bye. Yeah, right. You always have a why, even subconsciously. Your reason, your purpose. And again, I would say you are correct. Your reason or your purpose. What is your purpose here on earth? God knows your purpose, put you on earth. We're good, right? You have in your Akashic records, however you want to look at it. The idea is I don't have a why. Why to me is a question. Why? I don't know.
That's what the 2-year-old almost always say. Why did you put that there? I don't know.
Right. Exactly, Coach.
Bring it on.
Jessica says. Yeah. Bring it, Gary. That's it. I would love to get to being good with not needing to know everything. Change the tape. Change the tape that you're listening to, right? So remain curious. I don't need to know everything, but I'm curious about everything. Right. Okay. And once my curiosity is met, then I can move on.
Well, and everything is all inclusive. I don't need to know how to do neurosurgery. I don't need to know how to do a quadruple bypass. I need to know that I know someone who can do those.
Right.
And when I get there, I think what you're talking about though is the need to know everything about why does the kid not come in for curfew? Why do people drive so fast all the time? So we get down that path that can be a very dangerous path. Try to know everything. Evolves, your motives will change.
Wide and old, not being in the comfort zone. Your motives will change in different seasons. Again, if you have a goal that you're working towards, is does motive have anything to do with it? Okay. And in what season? I think that when you're on the journey, you're doing what needs to be done at that time for whatever it is you need to do. Now, I can tell you that at 54 years old, I never thought that my life would be as awesome as it is. And so I'm talking with a 20-year-old college student. And I said, hey, what do you want to do? I'd love to be in sports medicine, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, that's awesome. Or real estate. I said, well, those are two definitely different things, but you can kind of do both. And she goes, well, what do you do? And so I said, well, I work for a bank as a mortgage lender. I own an internet radio station, and I am an assistant coach on a basketball team. Now, never in my life, in my dream, in whatever it is that I've been on here in this journey, did I ever go, hey, when I'm 54, I want to have 3 full-time jobs, which really are like 3 full-time and a half jobs, and a family, and you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Never. It was at 40, I was going to retire, right? 30 years in and retire, whatever. Never at 54 did I go, I really want to be working 3 jobs. And you can believe that, which pushes us right into where we need to be.
What's going on, folks? This is Demond K. Ross with the Believe segment of 2 Bald Guys and a Microphone. Today's topic is milestones happen by accident. Now, remember last week when Ken said that was going to be the topic for this week, my thought was, how am I going to tie this into belief? Because when you think about milestones, your mind almost immediately goes to action, work, doing something to reach these milestones. But the more I thought about it, the more I began to see how I can tie that into belief. So there's a couple of things that I thought about when I look at that statement, milestones happen by accident. If you approach that and you look at that from the right mindset and from the right perspective, it'll help you to understand that you can let go of your need to control things. The need to control has a very serious impact on our belief because we can only control so much. We can't control outcomes. We can't control results. The only thing that we truly can 100% have control over is our own effort, our own activity, the way we respond to difficult situations. Those are the things that we can have control over, but we have no control over outcomes. We have no control over what other people do, think, or say. So as we look at milestones, which milestones are significant events that happen in our lives, and typically they provide learning experiences for us, or sometimes course corrections. And so as we focus on those things and we understand that these milestones happen outside of our control, when we learn to let go of the need to control or the desire to control outcomes, that helps us with our beliefs, because many times, or very often, when we're trying to control things, the real world continues to show up and things don't happen the way we want to because we can't control them. And because things aren't happening the way we want to, based on our desire and attempts to control things, we can take a hit to our self-esteem. And then we start having these limiting beliefs about what we can accomplish and what we can do because we're trying to control. So if we can look at that statement from the right perspective, saying milestones happen by accident, we can let go of our need and desire to control things which would put us in a position where we're not so often being disappointed and taking that hit to our self-esteem. And as we talk about the self-esteem and the belief, we also can look at it from the standpoint that our worth is not attached to any outcomes that happen. So as we look at milestones and we say, hey, these things happen outside of our control. They happen by accident. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not doing the work. That doesn't mean that we're not pursuing a goal. But oftentimes, milestones happen outside of the pursuit of the goals, meaning we're going in a certain direction towards a goal. And then something happens that turns into a milestone. It's not something in the moment that we recognize and say, oh, this is a milestone. It's not something we see coming and go, oh yeah, that's my moment. That's my milestone. That's what this is it. This is my big moment to change the course of my life. It typically happens, and later on we look back on it and say, oh, wow, that was significant. That was a huge milestone in my life. But when we don't necessarily hit certain milestones, because there, to a degree, you can interchange goals and milestones. They're not exactly the same, but they can be interchangeable. So as we talk about that and understanding that milestones happen by accident, then we can understand that our self-worth is not tied to these results because we're not in control of getting the results. See how we just went back to the control piece and see how they work together, because they both impact our belief. When we take our worth and say, if I don't get these results, if I don't have these benchmarks, if I don't hit these benchmarks, or if I don't hit these goals, or if I don't have these milestones on my journey, on my path, then I'm not worth it. No, you are worthy. You are worthy. You're worthy because you are a human being. Just intrinsic value. You have that just as a human being. And our worth, our value is not tied into results and outcomes. Results and outcomes happen. They can happen as a result of our actions or inactions, whatever the case may be. But our worth is not tied to that. So if we can look at that and understand that milestones happen by accident, yes, we're putting in the work, we're doing things, but we don't control them. And if things don't happen the way we want them to, that doesn't mean that we're not worthy. Our worth is something that we need to have intact within us, no matter what happens, no matter, how many goals we hit or don't hit or anything like that. Your self-worth is yours. So understand that milestones happen by accident, meaning that we don't have control. You can let go of the control so you're not running and bumping into these real life situations and these real results that are outside of what you want. But when you let go of trying to control that, then you allow yourself to be able to hold on to the belief, because you can control your actions, your, again, like I said, your responses to different situations. But as soon as we get to the point where we can let go of our need to control things, it'll do wonders for our belief. And if we learn not to attach our worth to outcomes, it does wonders for your belief. So really take a good hard look at milestones happen by accident. Try to look at it from that mind state, or that mindset that says, I don't have to try to control what happens. I don't have to put my self-worth on what happened. These things are going to happen as a result of my actions and my activities, not based on my control or based on my self-worth. This is Demond K. Ross saying, keep striving, stay humble, be bold, and always believe in you. Till next time.
Always.
Believe in you. Good stuff. So, and funny that, and I want people to know, that's you saw that just as Coach and I saw. We don't know what demand usually is going to be.
We believe
in
in demand,
right? But right on par to kind of what we've been talking about all day, right? Yeah. I like his backdrop. That's nice. I think that's wallpaper in his house or something. His office. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
As Shane has asked, have you ever been full steam towards a goal, Coach, and stopped in your tracks and said, "Why am I doing this?"
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times along the way. Specific incident isn't coming to mind right now, but that's, you're going along, you're caught up in the traffic, you're caught up in the motion, and you're like, where am I going, and why am I doing this?
Yeah, I so many times, but when we fall in love with the goal rather than the process or the system, it gets to that point, Shayna, and I'm glad you brought this up. Just like Damon said, it's about controlling.
Yeah.
Usually when I would get stuck in my tracks or just stop and go, why am I doing this? I've lost control, or I've said in my mind, I can't control this. It's not working. Why am I doing this? Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you were to ask that question, Kent, have you ever been full steam towards a goal and your wife stopped and goes, why are you doing this? A lot, right? A lot. But to that point is that's where we have to kind of let go. And that's where you have to fall in love with the process. That's where you have to fall in love with the system. That's where you have to start creating new habits, right? And again, is it the carrot or the stick? If you're a person living with a disease, you're a cancer survivor,
right?
There's a lot of things in your life that change. Okay. If you are a person who, I've got a friend who's got incredible kidney stones, horrible kidney stones, and to the point where they've, ultrasound them out, all this kind of stuff, right? And it's just bad. But this person has never, he hates having the kidney stones, but this person has never changed his lifestyle, has never changed his habits. His goal is, I don't want them, but he keeps doing the same things year after year after year after year after year. We see it a lot of times with transplant people who have organ transplants, and they go and they don't change anything in their life and wonder, well, why did the organ transplant only last for 3 years? Yeah. Well, you didn't change the systems. You didn't change. You didn't take advantage of taking a look back, right? And going, oh, look, I feel happier. I feel healthier, whatever the case may be. So it's to that point is it's always about understanding the process and falling in love with the process, not right. Sally Santos, God bless her, 3+ years sober, right? And she has fallen in love with the process of staying sober, not the idea of staying sober, but the process of staying sober. She, and she is at Mixer. She is around alcohol all the time, which a lot of alcoholics choose not to do. But because it's the process, she has fallen in love with the process of staying sober. Now it's become a habit. Right. To now even talking with her husband, Tim, Tim says, I'm going to stop drinking, which then Sally says that we don't take that lightly in this house. If you're going to step into those shoes, understand the process it's going to take. Now, again, he is not an alcoholic. He probably drinks socially. Right. So I'm excited to see his journey. He hasn't drank for a month. So I'm excited to see his journey. Right. And I talked a little bit about him because of this show and with him. And he's just like, when it was to the point where I was like, instead of thinking about what event I'm going to, was thinking about what am I going to drink at this event?
Well, in my 287 networking, I talk about that. Don't choose your networking events based on the food and alcohol they're serving.
Right.
And there's several people in the world of business networking that, the old Gary Lang mixer. Nobody cared about networking at that one. They just knew that Gary was going to provide this monster spread of food and alcohol. But when you go to the mixer, are certain people going to be there that are going to help you grow your business, or that you can help them grow theirs, then you're networking for the right reasons. So great point. Congratulations, Sally and Tim. That's right.
Amazing. So again, it's you when you fall in love with that project. Why do mega athletes, and let's talk about bodybuilders, right? Our good friend Mike Mintz from Clean Bee,
right,
he's in his late 40s, mid 40s.
Yes, they're doing they've been doing these competitions,
like
him and Michelle, the mud runs and Spartan races.
Yeah,
but this year he's going on a bodybuilding,
an all natural
bodybuilding journey.
Yeah,
and it's interesting to see. I was talking with Michelle about it yesterday, and that change. When you change that mentality, you change the outcomes. Now, do you have control of it? Well, you have control of the actions that you do,
right,
but not the outcomes.
Right. So he's fallen in love with the process, with the system, which then you start, as you look back, as Damon said, you start to see results. You start to see changes. You start to see, oh my gosh, this is great. Right. And so I think he's looking at those milestones differently now, instead of trying to get a milestone, so it's always falling in love. And milestones will happen by accident because you fall in love with the system.
I've got a milestone coming up in a year and a half. It would be my 50th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Definitely is going to happen by accident.
Just because she hasn't killed you.
Pretty much.
Listen, we're on the back end of this. I want to thank everybody for input. Now, next week, though, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stick with milestones happen by accident, but probably what we're going to do is focus more on systems, more on habits, more on
the operating system,
the operating system, to help you get through and understand to make the changes. Yeah. Oh yeah. We love the folks at Clean Bee. Clean Bee does have a great story. And we've had them on a couple of different shows, not this one. So, but they're always very, very busy. We'll try because I'd love to have him on, because just to talk about his journey on this too. And Michelle's awesome too. So
perfect.
Listen, we can't thank you enough for jumping in and hanging out with us a little bit this morning on Two Bald Guys and a Microphone. Of course, we thank Natural Therapy Wellness Center, JH Events and Flowers, Tom's Productions, everybody who has their hand in this. But listen, take a look at some of the goals that you have. Okay, get them in front of you. Good seeing you, Gary. Love you, brother. Hope all is well.
And that's the thanks I'd like to put out. Gary, Shayna, Jessica, and all who participate to challenge us.
Yeah.
And please challenge Kent as much as you want. That's his love language. So.
That's it. And take a look at your goals. Take a look at the things you've written down, the ones that you haven't hit, the ones that you've let go. Because what we want to talk about next week on having milestones happen by accident is the systems, habits to create to get to those next levels. So for all of us here, 21.6 Net, thank you for getting caught in the net with us this morning.
My name is Tim Stewart. I am Coach Papa, and I do approve this message. God bless. Travel safe. Make this your best day yet.